All right, so the recording is started. So the first question that she was asking earlier is about printers. And to me, printing is, we all know that printers are not so expensive, but the ink is really expensive. And that's the Gillette razor blade marketing principle. They don't charge you a lot for the razor that holds the blade, but they charge you a lot for the blades, and the blades wear out. You know, some people think that Apple does that with their products, but really what happens is technology moves on and they have to do the other. It's not like the old stuff stops working, it's just not as good anymore, and they make you long for this other stuff. But printers, there are aftermarket print charging places. Costco does it now. You can get ink. If you're printing photos, it's important to get a photo printer. For instance, in the HP line, you have the PhotoSmart line, and that is better inks. It's better to use HP paper, and it prints photos very well. Their OfficeJet line is more for printing documents and stuff. It does photos okay, but it just doesn't have that clarity. Consequently, it doesn't use as much ink on photos. But what I do is when I look at a printer, the first thing I do, because as I've always said here, I'm a cheap bastard, and I'm not going to spend a lot of money on ink. So I go out and I look how much the consumables are for that printer before I look at the printer. And that to me is really important. Also, if you start printing photos on your photo printer, you're going to spend more money on ink and more money on paper than if you had simply emailed them to Walmart or Walgreens or CVS or Costco, and they do better quality. Now, I learned something just recently. I always said do that, but I do some other tech stuff on the side, and I went and replaced one of these big Fuji printers at a Walmart up in Placerville. They brought in a refurb, a new one, and sent it back out. And it is actually an inkjet printer. They call it a dry process because the old one was the chemicals and all that other stuff, which just makes for great photos. So I'm not sure that now it's back to inkjet, so I'm not sure that's any better than your inkjet printer at home. So I would be conscious of that, and I would look into that ahead of time and see if they have what's called dye sublimation. You're going to pay the same no matter where it is, but it makes it a little easier for the retailers. And most people wouldn't tell the difference, and the cost is the same. Also, you can order from Apple. You can order from Snapfish and have them sent to you. It's like 11 cents a print for, what, a 5x7 or 4x6, whatever it is. You're going to spend less money on that than if you do on printing photos on your own photo printer. You had a question?
Yes, is dye sublimation good or bad?
Dye sublimation is good. That's a process, and it really, the photos get locked in, and you know, they always guarantee it too. If it doesn't look right, you can blame them instead of the photographer. Remember, a good carpenter doesn't blame his hammer, but you know, it's they'll redo them for you and stuff. And then when, you know, Apple, Snapfish, different places like that can order them online. Speaking of printers, I'm just going to give you an idea of how I shopped for a printer. I went and found, this is a little bit dated right now, but I know intimately this printer because this is the one I have. It's an all-in-one. It has a document feeder on the top for up to 20 pages. It scans, it faxes, it does the dishes, it does everything. And I got it for like $69. It's on sale at Amazon for $74.50. I'm not saying get this printer, I'm just using this to illustrate an example because I have a photo printer that I hardly ever use. But I have a laser printer, a black and white laser printer. If you print a lot, get a black and white laser printer for under $100 and you won't care about consumables. Mr. Cheap uses his laser, and I don't think anything of it. It's the cost of the paper, which, you know, is virtually nothing, okay? So I print with my laser all the time. That's my default. Not color laser. They're expensive. Black and white laser. You can get them at Fry's when they're on sale for $50. But for those times when I need to print color, or more particularly my Epson that was an all-in-one, expensive ink. It ran out of ink, and it wouldn't even let me scan. So I had to go buy another scanner, and that's what I got was this. And the reason I got this, because if you look down here at the ink prices, I can get a set of 20. Let me get my laser pointer to illustrate the point. 20 cartridges. For how much is that? $13.28. Now, do I really care how much ink I use at that point? Mine weren't quite that good. I think when I got mine, they were 78 cents a cartridge. That makes a cheap guy like me really happy. I'll use ink. I don't care about it. It's not going to print photos very well. It's not a photo printer, but it does really well when it's doing documents and those kinds of things. So always look at the consumables. And how I look at consumables, there's the consumables from the manufacturer. The reason the Brother's so good is it lets you put other people's ink in it without much hassle. A lot of these other printers have these chips in there to make sure you buy their authentic stuff. But as far as I'm concerned, the printer was inexpensive, the ink's inexpensive. Yeah, and I might get a bad cartridge here and there, but it's 78 cents a cartridge. I'm not going to worry about it. So it is wireless. The nice thing is I can print from my iPad direct to that printer. So how many here have iPads or iPhones? Let me show you how you can find out if the printer you're looking at is compatible with Apple's iPhone. And we'll use Google. And all I do is I usually type it in so you won't have to remember a website here. I go Apple AirPrint. Oops, didn't get caps. AirPrint it's called. Printers. It'll correct it. It'll correct it. Yeah, Google knows me pretty well. They know how to correct. Oh, this is Ken. Let's fix it. So if I look here, you'll see iOS AirPrint. You can tell I've been there before because it's underlined. And here, down farther, internet's a little slow now that people are here. It was really fast earlier. Now I need to... So going down here, you'll notice it shows the different printer manufacturers, which actually when AirPrint first came out, there were only 5 manufacturers. But if I go here and I, for instance, click on Brother, it gives the list of those printers. All right. While we're here, I'm going to do Mail first, but I'm going to give you a Safari tip. This is a long list, isn't it? The printer we were looking at Amazon was a J430W, right? So rather than go back here and look through this long list, nobody cheat, I'm going to go up to the oh no, I'm going to hit Command F and I'm going to type in J430 and look at it, finds it in my list. Command F for find. Think about it. You got this long list in Safari and you're somewhere else and you're looking for a particular person or a particular name. It'll show it and it shows how many times it's there. Let's type in the word, well, we know MFC. That's what those are called, MFC. It shows 32 matches and it goes right through the page with each one. Up in the right-hand corner, Command F in Safari. If you have the older version of Safari, well, actually, this works on your iOS device. So let's switch to that. Since we're going to be doing tag teams here, I'm going to go to Safari and I'm going to type in AirPrint. And we'll do the same thing, but the test here is to show you. All right, so I'm going to go to the AirPrint app again. Sorry for the time. Jeopardy. Dun, 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 dun. don't worry about what you can't see on the screen. It's just kind of... All right, so Brother is already opened. So which, by the way, that was an iCloud thing. So I'm going to go up into the Google search in the upper right, all right? I'm going to clear that out. I'm going to type in J430. But notice... Uh-oh. Hang on here. Ah, it closed. Sorry. I got to open the Brother because it had to be exposed. So I'm going to go J430. And now look. See, there's my normal search window, but look what happens when I pull down. It says find on this page, just like it did here. And I hit that, and it shows me where, and that's on the iPhone or the iPad or the iPod Touch, how to find something on that page, the same as we did on our computer. Somebody met me on a plane. It's a girl's name. The reason I had to expand it is, no, it doesn't have to be a list. It'll do any page in Safari. So let me go back here. Well, yeah, or the PDF, like is on my thing. Anything you can do. I just did the list because I was showing you a practical application, and we'll try to revisit that when we come back to Safari. So anyway, go ahead, Bob.
One thing that I found personally on printers for an iPad, if you've got a reasonably new Ethernet printer, not wireless, but Ethernet, try it. Just try to print.
Just go to the list. If it's on the list, it works. Otherwise, there's other options for it.
I guess what I'm saying is the printer that I had does not have a wireless card in the printer. And yet, somehow or other, the printer is found by the iPad.
Are you using one of those apps?
No, because it's plugged into my
to your wireless network. Yeah, that's a particular.
So I think my answer is before you go out and spend money, try to print and see if maybe you're able to do it without.
But our big thing here was we're starting from printers. People are talking about new printers going the other way. So, and there are some apps on the iPad that allow you to print through your computer to it if you don't have a current printer. There's some good ones out there, but this isn't about that. That was a question about hardware and printers. So I probably have time for one more hardware question before we get into mail. Any others? Go ahead.
You probably addressed this before, but at our last board meeting,
I'll probably have a different answer this time.
okay, that's fine. About buying, where you buy batteries, batteries for your laptops and all that, and they said, oh, you know where to get the best price.
I found Amazon, believe it or not. Now, they're not going to be official Apple. They're going to be a lot less. So the battery will be 1/4 of the price, and it might only last half as long. Cheap guy says, well, to me, that's a bargain. So you want to time the life of your battery till you're going to get rid of that device. so work on that. We'll make a flow chart, and we'll figure out how to do it. All right, so Apple Mail. Should have been running already. There we go. So I'm really curious who met me on a plane in January. Anyway, I'll avoid it. Single guy, doesn't get too many of these, but anyway, I'm sure it's about tech support. What do you bet? I'm willing to open myself up here. Yep, how to optimize Siri on the iPhone. I impressed this, or well, Siri impressed this girl, I'm sure that's what it was. So anyway, as I remember, yeah, she was. Yeah. Did she say, oh yeah, I have a friend. Boyfriend. What do you bet it's the boyfriend? He knows I wouldn't have responded to the email. So, all right. So Apple's Mail works the same through all of our devices. How many here are running Lion or Mountain Lion? Or how many aren't running Lion or Mountain Lion would be the better question. Okay. So this won't apply. You're used to how your mail looks. in Lion and Mountain Lion, Apple changed the look of mail. So I'm going to return mail to how it comes in Lion, and then we'll show you how to change it to the way that we used to do it. All right. All right. So it's not that they're trying to make Mac OS look like iOS. iOS is what we call the operating system for iPhones, iPads, etc. But if we go here, you'll notice the look is very consistent between those devices and the way they converted your mail in Lion, especially Mountain Lion. Now, this works on a touch device, on an iPad where you have it all in one screen. But when we go to this, a lot of people didn't like this. So the first thing people did was go up here and say show. There's something about us seeing all of our mailboxes there. So that's on the hide and the show, okay? So you're fine with it, fine without it. This brings up a point. We had a couple questions earlier. On your iPad or your iPhone, don't delete any mails when you read them. You don't need to. They're only going to show the 50 most recent for each of your mail accounts. And if you delete this new one, it'll just bring another older one in behind. You're not saving any room. You're just going through the motions. It doesn't make a difference. Okay? Yep. And it doesn't really show the whole email. It's wait until you click on it and then it shows the rest of it. Okay? So, me, a person that, as you can see on my box there, I have 38,619 messages. Well, that's only my Mac account. So, my feeling is if I delete it, I'll need it. Now, I used to think I was a hoarder until those shows came out. No, I'm a keeper. Okay? So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay? So, the reason you don't need to delete them on these devices is because another one will come in behind it. I'm going to talk about different mail services once we get done with this a little bit, because there is a way that you can get mail where if I delete it on my iPad, it'll delete it on my Mac, and if I delete it on my Mac, it'll delete it here. And I like that. So we're going to go into that in just a couple minutes. But look and feel, you see the iPad in front and the mail in the back looks pretty similar like this. So we can customize our mail to the old look, which I happen to really like. And if we go to Mail Preferences, and right in here, it's usually on General, we'll go over here to Viewing. And in Viewing, I select Use Classic. And you see it changes behind the screen there. Okay. So now it's, oops, I changed it back. So we're in Classic View. Now, in the old Classic View, there's a little bar. Anytime you see a dot with Apple, it means there's something behind it. I can take that and I can make it smaller, or I can make it longer. If I make it long like that, the only way I can view a particular email is to double click on it. And that brings it up, all right? That's the way people are used to it. But also notice, okay, the message from Tammy there is if I click it once, it doesn't make it red because I haven't double clicked it to open it. But let's show you a little different way here. If I go back down to the dot, and I like to view my mail this way so that it gives me a preview of what I'm looking at the top. And so now if I click on Tammy's email, she just got her iPhone and she's practicing Siri, I'm sure, because she had some interesting ones. She just got an iPhone 5 and she's practicing Siri. So you'll notice it undid the blue dot. Again, that's this little dot, move it up or down if you're in the classic style. While we're at it, one other tip that's really important in Lion and Mountain Lion is You'll notice here on the right-hand side I have a scroll bar, right? We're used to the old scroll bars showing up. In fact, I'll go to this one because now I have a scroll bar at both top and bottom. They show up over there. But how your computer comes after you install Mountain Lion is no scroll bars, which is a pain in the butt because when I start to scroll, oh, now my scroll bar shows up. See it on the right? I'm scrolling, and I go over to get it, and right about when I get there, it disappears. Well, if you have a long list like that, you want to be able to grab your scroll bar. So you go to the Apple logo, System Preferences, General, and this is going to be on the recording, and click Always. Now the scroll bar will always be over there. You may not use it, but it's there. And the beauty of a scroll bar, you'll notice this is a really small little scroll bar right here because that shows you this screen is so much of everything I have where this scroll bar says, well, that's about half the page. That's the other half of the page. Okay, so the scroll bar shows how long it is. And that's not just in Mail. That's in everywhere on your Mac. This was activating the scroll bars everywhere on your Mac, whether you're in Finder, whether you're in Safari. Because Apple's minimalist view tries to get those things out of the way and gets them out of there. I frankly like them. So, and we're not using a touch screen so well, so it does that. All right. So the other thing in Mail, when you get Mail, or when you get the new Mail app, you'll notice it has across the top, it's got all these gray colored icons. They used to have colors to them, and any human interface designer will tell you that both shapes and colors are picked up by the human eye very well. So Apple made them gray. And we used to have words under them. Oh. So, second Mail tip of the day. Secondary click, control click, icon and text. Okay. Why did they leave it off? Maybe they were going to charge you more for the words. I don't know. It doesn't cost any more for them to put the words on. They're there. So control click, icon and text. You also have to do it in the reply and the forwarded ones because I've already done it, but you would have to do it here also. Reply, forward, and do it. It really helps. I'm going to show you one other quick tip and then I'll answer your question. If I go here also and I go up to View, Customize Toolbar, it does the same thing. Icon, icon, and text at the bottom. But this is a neat window because I could put a print icon up on my Mail bar from here. I just drag this and put it right up there. Some of you want to make the text bigger or smaller. I could drag that right up to the top. I can put a little thing for my address book. Really, you only want that when you're doing new Mail. Add to contacts. You can drag any of those up to the top you want. And they're one-click access to whatever it is you drag up there. So we'll show you how to get there again. It is View, because we're going to affect the view on our screen. Customize Toolbar. And you still can do the icon and text thing down below, but this way you can do whatever you want up there. And if you ever get tired of it, see this one? It's called the default. You just drag the whole thing up there and it reverts to the default one. Because sometimes you'll accidentally drag one off and you won't know, well, where's the reply one? So, Customize Toolbar. You'll actually find that in quite a few of the apps. That's Safari has it also. You could put a little print dialog box in Safari. Okay, there was a question back here. Okay, good. That's. So, right click is what it's called when you have a mouse that does right click. On a trackpad, it's two-finger click or it's control single click. Secondary click is what we like to call that. So it's that was to get the icon and text up there. But you'll notice too, I can also go right to Customize Toolbar. But that's why I wanted to show how to go to View to Customize Toolbar, because not everybody will remember the control click. Which, by the way, none of that works on the iPad. or the iPhone because you can't control click. It is what it is, okay? And when you think about it, these darn devices, I mean, you hardly ever have trouble with your iPad or your iPhone. You hardly have trouble with your Mac ever, but certain things go wrong sometimes. So, in Mail, I'm not going to go in depth about signatures. I want to show you where you can do signatures because everybody has special wants and needs when it comes to signatures. I'm glad I didn't say special needs because some people's signatures look like they have special needs. But I'm going to go to Mail, Preferences, and I go in here to, guess what? You got it. Now, you create a signature by hitting the plus sign. And I'm just going to call it test. So there it is. And it took that name and address from my settings, okay? I didn't have to fill in Ken Spencer at Mac.com and Ken Spencer at Mac.com. So now I have a signature. It's part of my all signatures. The next step of that is, because you might have multiple email addresses, I have to tell this address to be one of my signatures for iCloud. So now I have 3 signatures there, okay? Boom, boom, boom. Now, I can choose to have my signatures go randomly, like a lot of people have quotes that they like to do, in sequential order. I don't know why. Yeah, the first email goes this one, second that. Or you can pick the one that you want to be your default signature. So I'm going to pick that. I don't know why it says RPM. It should be EPM for EmpowerMac Tech. But anyway, I know what it is, so that's all that matters. So now I'm going to go back to compose a new mail. So when I compose a new message, you'll see that it attached my signature automatically. Okay? Now, I still have the option of choosing test or one of the others or none. And actually, oh, that took it. I'd have to delete that. So none would be none. It already, because I walked between 2 signatures, it did it. So you would delete that. Yes, Al?
Take a photograph and signature?
Not in this class. Question was, can you stick a photograph in your signature? Yes, you can. The important thing is to make it a fairly small photo. But I'll go quickly how to do that. We're not going to go into detail because it's something you need to play with. But if we go to signatures and we click oh, I think I copied and pasted it, didn't I? Yeah, you know, in the older versions you could go choose the file you have on your desktop. But the big thing is you have to make it small to go in here. You can copy and paste it right into here. Let's just try that. Let's go find a JPEG dot JPG. Actually, I think I have one. Ken dot. So I'm going to copy this image to my clipboard, and we'll go back up to signatures. I'm going to go to my test signature. I'm going to say there, yeah, there it is. So that added it to my signature. I copied and pasted a JPEG to it, and we can see what that looks like. Hang on one sec, Al. So now you'll notice I just changed that test signature, and it will change it in all the accounts that it's in. It references the one there. So now let's go see what happens. So sometimes you have to quit mail and make it do it. Quit that, test. There it is. Okay, Al, you had a follow-up to that?
Is there any server, any user that you have any difficulties receiving stuff like this?
Yes, and it's a good question. And what he points out is there's a lot of people out there in the Windows world, and there's a lot of people that don't allow, they allow just text to come in an email because they have to worry about viruses. Do we have to worry about any viruses? Maybe? No, never. Not a problem. So you can't get anything from that. So you don't have to worry about that. As long as you keep your computer updated, there's been some malware, but there's no viruses. But it's gone. It doesn't happen. But yes.
Ken, when you put a picture in and you were saying you want to make the picture small, and when you're looking at it, can you see how big it is?
Now you have to kind of do this, but what you can do is where you edit the photo, and this doesn't mean you can just crop it. You actually have to go to into a photo editing program to make you have to render it as a smaller piece. Okay, so that's I don't want to go down the road too far on signatures, but what happens is it actually gets sent as an attachment, so it doesn't look in line with it, but your text will be there. Now, don't sit there and do this big well, in fact, look at what this person sent. Oh, but she's trying to market this stuff. And one of these things, yeah, see the things moving and all that. Half the people that get that would not be able to see that stuff at the bottom. So it's just lost. And I'd rather not have to see the Tower Garden. Anyway. The other thing is, obviously, when we're going to talk about making a new message, we're going to do a brand new email, and when your when your Mac starts, there's the fields of to and CC. What does CC mean?
Carbon copy.
Carbon copy. Some people say courtesy copy. I think carbon copy is the way because it was the old days. The idea with that is if somebody in the family sends me an email, they want to copy everybody else so they know that everybody's seen that email. Okay, it's a carbon copy. There's another one called BCC, blind carbon copy. That's really important if you're sending out. You've seen these people. You've got the emails from it, and it usually has an AOL address on it or a Hotmail. And there's 35 email addresses here. Then it goes down, and when it was forwarded here, there's another 35 email. Those email addresses are all out there somewhere so the spammers can find them now. So thank the people that put you on those lists for making sure that you got on spam lists now. If you put it in BCC, let's say all of you, if you had given me your email address and you wanted to get a link to the movie today, and I had all your email addresses, if I put them all in BCC, no one would see anybody else's email address. And it'd look like I sent it to you personally. You're the only one that got this. Man, Ken spent a lot of time typing this up for every single individual. But it also makes it so the other email addresses aren't seen. The problem with that is, like in MacNexus, when we have communications within the board of directors, we want everybody to see everything that's going on, so you do, in that case, a CC, so everybody knows. If you're doing a potluck dinner, holidays are coming up, and somebody sends out an email, oh, great, I'm having a potluck, and everybody says, who's doing appetizers, who's doing salads, who's doing desserts, etc. So you would email, it would go out to everybody, and then you would reply to all so that everybody sees Gail's bringing the appetizers. Okay? Then the people keep checking it off. That's where you would use everybody's addresses for a purpose. Okay? There was a question?
Yeah, these thing doesn't have a BCC.
Okay, I brushed right through that. I'm sorry. So basically, it isn't there, and you see this little gray thing. You click on it and say BCC. Sorry, I skipped through that. And once it's on, it's on. Okay? And if you don't use it, you don't use it, but at least have it on because then it reminds you. Go ahead.
Is there a limit to the amount of addresses you can?
No, but your email provider may have a limit on how many you can send to because your name may all of a sudden look like spammer. So there are limits on that, and that's what you have to be careful of. If you're sending under 50, you probably don't have to worry. But you know what? You shouldn't be sending 50. Okay? Do them in smaller groups because there's different ways to filter them out. And you can look like a spammer to your email provider. That brings up another point, which I'm going to just hit on briefly. If you're attaching pictures to your email, if you're attaching files, God forbid don't attach a video, never make it exceed 5 megabytes. Yes, many email providers will allow you to pass 20 megabytes. But if my email provider allows me to send 20 megabytes, but your email provider doesn't allow you to receive 20 megabytes, what happens to that email? Somebody in India is probably reading it, okay? Because the other person didn't get it. And you won't know that they didn't get it. So it's common courtesy to just keep it under 5 megabytes if you can. There's other ways to send people photos and things like that, which is in other photo classes. But just be careful of that. And I've had people call me up. Ken, the email won't go. It's because it's too large. It keeps getting refused. So Carol here goes up, and until this last year, they spend some time up in Idaho, and they have a dial-up connection when they're there. So if you were to send Carol a 20 megabyte file while she's up there on dial-up, we've done a special little way where she can refuse to accept that attachment. But otherwise, every time she opens mail, it keeps trying to download yours, and she can't get any of her other mail. So be courteous of that. And on broadband, it's not too bad. But if you keep it under 5 megabytes, you're a good player on the internet. Okay? And the message will usually tell you what size, the email will tell you what size the attachment is. Good.
So just another question. So when they send out the MacNexus newsletter, they send it with lots of data?
It's usually a link.
Oh, yeah.
Excuse me. That's the way to do it is we send a link to the file and then you download it from there. Because it's just better. PDFs are not one to worry about, but size is a big issue on that. Okay. So in Mail, we've got some other cool things. Across the top up here, because I made, let's go back to icon only. Oh, what do these two things mean, right? Well, okay, that looks like a landscape. Oh, but I can hover over it. Gosh sakes, why not make it visible? So, we talked about attaching photos. So, what do you think the photo browser does? It goes into my iPhoto library without my iPhoto being open. So, I haven't opened it in a while here, so it'll take a sec. While I'm letting that open, look on, the next one is Show Stationery. Now, how cool is this? I have the ability to take announcements, photos, stationery, sentiments, but we'll just go to announcements. Actually, we'll go to photos. So here's a pretty neat one. There's the stationery, right? So, but those, I could send that to somebody, but they'd know right away. That's nobody I know. These are just photos that are filler. And a dead giveaway is that I say, Laura ipsum dolor sit emet. The photos, like the text, are just placeholders. So, and what that means is when you type your letter, you have to do exactly the same amount of words and letters that they did, okay? Don't, you know. Anyway, so I just click on here and I just type gobbledygook, yip, 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 yip. Now, I fired up my photo browser, remember? And now I'll go here. Here's actually some good friends of mine right outside of, oh, this is a pretty good one. My 88-year-old mom, we went to Yosemite with my best friend's dad, and they're in little scooters, and they look like they're racing on their little scooters. And she's got her cane, and she waved the wand there. So then I'll move this one over to Half Dome. So I'm dragging the photos from my photo browser. But you know, if you're like me, you have a lot of photos in iPhoto. So I can go over here and just say, go to my folders, and that's Jesus, which is his dad's name. It's not a Jesus thing. Let's see. Here's sunsets. Oh. photo stream. Oh, here we go. Drop that in. Oh, didn't do that one. Sorry, my fault. So I'll drop that one right there. So I'm dropping those photos in. Now, when I scroll down in my mail, I want to, if I don't have everything filled in, when I go to send this, it's going to say you haven't filled in everything. So anyway, that's stationary, which is built in, and photo browser, and they're both up at the top. And I can do a regular mail without stationary. I'm going to get rid of that one, don't save. We'll do another new email, new message, and I can go straight to photo browser. And I can just drag like that photo in. That was my artsy photo. Okay, so now you'll notice it gives me the message size there. And then if all the pictures were too big, I have a chance here to adjust the size of the pictures. Okay, I'm going to drag in a couple more. Oh yeah, this is a good one. Please remove snowshoes before entering. Yes?
I don't want to get too far into iPhone here, but if you have the alternative of emailing from iPhone,
Correct, and that's from, that's a...
that doesn't ever show up in the mail, does it?
Yes, if depending on what your preferences are set at. You can have iPhoto email from within iPhoto, or you can set it in preferences to do it the other way, which is mail from that. You know, we actually have time because Safari's not going to take as long as mail, so I will go to that real quick because how many here want to know how to email from iPhoto? What, the rest of you don't take photos? No. Okay, so the way I like to describe this is right now what we're doing is we're pulling from iPhoto. Without ever opening iPhoto, I went to the photo browser, okay? I can also push from iPhoto. So, I'm sorry? Yeah, right up here, photo browser at the top. See, and what that is, it's a look into my iPhoto and I can drag the photos over. Okay? All my photos from iPhoto are represented there, but I don't even have iPhoto open. Yes, ma'am?
How small? This is a stupid question. How small is small? I mean, you know,
It's all relative. I'm a small guy.
but I'm saying if you want to write a message, how small is small?
It's again kind of relative. So what it'll do is it'll reduce the size of the photo. But let's show you because it kind of depends on how big the actual. It's how big this photo started out to be, and then it makes it smaller from that. So let's go to small. And realistically, that's the normal size you see. Now I got to tell you, you see the photo on there, and you're thinking, well, no, I want to send this as an attachment because whenever you get an email from somebody else, there's a little icon with a blue line under it that says JPEG, and you click on it to see the photo, right? We're on a Mac. We don't need all that. This shows the photo, but when somebody on a PC gets it, they'll get the little icon with the line under so they can click on it and have it blow it up. But in fact, in your case, it allows you to view it, okay? So that's our small, medium, large. And actual size refers back to the size of the photo that you took. Okay, and that'll come into play in a second when I show you the iPhoto side. So let's go. While I'm firing up iPhoto, was there some other questions I saw? Yes?
I loaded iPhoto onto my iPad, and it doesn't seem to be quite the same program.
No, it's better. It's not the same because it doesn't work with the hooks the way it does. There would be an iPhoto iPad specific class that would be that, but you can do the mail from it the same. But it actually it's more like Aperture on the Mac because it allows you to do paintbrushing with your finger and everything else. If you want it to be like iPhoto, use Photos in your iPad. So I got my iPad here. I like how I switch back and forth. So now, photos in the iPad is the equivalent of iPhoto, where I can go mail it right from here and everything. Oh, crap, I didn't want full screen. That's going to... No, that's okay. It might throw off the our recording. Let me make sure it didn't. Yes, we're still going. Good. Sorry about that. When it went my screen full screen, I wanted to make sure it didn't throw off our recording. So that photos, I know it's a little weird, and that's probably why Scott Forstall is not working for Apple in the near future, is because photos works like iPhoto, and iPhoto works like Aperture.
But in the iPhoto or the photos on the iPad, you can't do the books like you can in iPhoto.
Oh, you're correct.
Okay.
And Pete's having the books class right now. But you can't, but I have a feeling that's in the future. The other thing you got to remember is that this darn device has a really small processor in it, takes very little energy, and it's amazing it does what it does, but there's still a few things it can't yet. And what I envision is that's going to be able to happen in the future, but it's all going to be via the cloud. You don't need to download it here to have it do it. You can have it be on the cloud to do it. Okay? So I've got iPhoto fired up. I've got a lot of things. Oh, mom had 2 stents put in. Here's the pictures of, I wasn't there, but they had photos of it. But let me just grab, oh, that's connect to my phone. I don't need that. Let's go to photos. I do a lot of sunsets. I obviously haven't culled through them and done them, but let's just go grab, I'm going to grab these 3 photos. And I've highlighted those, or 3. I've highlighted those 3 photos. Actually, let's get a 4th photo. How did I do it? It's magic. I put my cursor in the gray area, and I click and drag, and whatever this little box I'm drawing touches, selects. Okay? So I'll select all those. I'm going to give you 2 other ways to do that, and this will apply to everywhere you do it on the Mac, whether it's files or whatever. I'm going to click the first thing. I'm going to take my finger and hold down the Command key, and I can click this, and click this, and click that, right? So that's, but also, let's say I didn't want this one. I hold down Command and click again, so it's like a toggle, on and off. But let's click the first one, and I'm going to take my finger and hold down the Shift key. The Shift will select contiguous items. Okay? That applies when you're selecting files, anything else. And I'm going to deselect that one. There's our initial 4, 2, 3 that we were looking at. So, from here, I can go up to the word share, or I can come down here to share, and I'll click share. Now, how do I want to share it? Now, in Mountain Lion, you have the ability to share it via Facebook, Flickr, which is a free account, Twitter, Order Prints. You can send it as a message now, as an email, or to your photo stream. We're talking about doing email, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click on email. So now, this is email from within iPhoto. This is strictly within iPhoto. You don't even have to have Apple Mail configured for this. But you'll notice here, on this screen, I have different, very much like stationaries, right? That's the full size. And you'll notice down here, oh, look, I made it under our 5 megabytes. But that's still pretty big. So what I can do is, I can change it Actually, if I go actual size, look at this. 33 megabytes. I'm the winner. And everybody will hate me. So, actual size, because I think I have a 12 megapixel camera, I can go to large, which brings it down pretty manageable. I like to hit the optimized and let Apple decide. It will usually select that. Now, you'll notice there's a little thing that says attach photos to messages is grayed out right here. Let's go to this little corkboard. Now, you'll notice this is kind of like a stationary, right? But look how small my photos are. I have said attach photos to message. So while they see the neat little message, the photos are still attached to the message if they want to print them or download them. If I don't want to do that, you'll watch my megabytes will drop dramatically to a half a megabyte. Okay? And that's probably what people want to see. You only need to attach the photo if they want them to see a really big version of it. You know, obviously a photo of themselves they'll want to enlarge and say that they never liked themselves on camera and things like that. So other ones over here, cardstock, collage. I can move the photos around within the collage. However you want, you can do that with any of these. Boom. No, the only thing you can do is you can make what's inside the portal. Think of this as a portal. You can make it larger within the portal, and you can move it around within the portal. Okay? It's not a photo editing program in that regard. Go ahead back there first.
Can the recipient say, click and save any of those photos individually, even if it says attach photos?
When they're attached, they can. Otherwise, if they click on these, they're only going to be the size of what the little ones are. That's why the size drops dramatically when I deselect the message size. See, it dropped dramatically. Okay? So, now all I do, this is pretty tough. I selected the photos. I hit share by email, and I just start typing somebody's name. Boom, boom. Boom, I'll send it to me, actually. Let's send it to my Mac one. And I'm going to attach the photos. What's that? Yeah, well, you know. They all forward to one account. Email, so this is where I didn't fill in the placeholders. Go ahead, Setsuko.
Yes, when I change the position, that will drop and drop, and then I lost the original one. You can move the delete it.
When you did it?
So you have now five pictures, you can check the original 6, and then you move it around position, or you have no.
No, they just switch. They just switch positions. Her question was, what happens? They just switch. When you do it, I don't know. You have those, it's the CIA pictures probably that they've been, I have no idea. When you have problems like that though, the best thing to do is quit iPhoto, restart it, see if it fixes it. If it doesn't, quit your computer, restart it. If that doesn't fix it, call Ken. Usually it's something like that. And actually the other thing that brings up a good point, make sure you constantly keep your software updated. I'm going to start sending this and then I'll answer your question. So see, it's going to warn me because I didn't change the thing, so I'm going to say send anyway. All right, go ahead with your question.
This is a little retrograde. I have a 3G, and I send a picture to my PC, and the picture comes in a rotated form.
From your iPhone? Yeah, there's a thing with that, believe it or and it comes on your Mac rotated?
No, see.
You're right.
Is there a way around that?
Get a Mac. Let me tell you why that is. It's a little known thing that what happens is the iPhone. Jeez, that's a loud vibrator. It's a little known thing. The iPhone, you know, it uses the gyro or the accelerometer, the gyro to tell what orientation it is. And when it sends it in this most generic format. What happens is the PC says, oh, I think I know better. I need to turn it. So there's nothing you can do about it. It's the receiving end, not the sending end. So, and that's happened before, and it's rare. So, any other quick questions before I go to mail? Go ahead.
Yeah, well, when you get a picture and it's small from somebody else's iPhone, you can click and drag it to your iPhone, but how do you get it bigger?
If it's small, you can make it bigger, but it's not going to increase resolution. This will probably show up in my email box here in a second, and we'll kind of go through some of that. I can't remember. Did we take the break? No, it's at 10:15, 10:20 is the break usually? 10:20. Okay, good.
Somebody sent me a picture and it was upside down, and so then it said I can add it to my iPhoto. When I add it to my iPhoto, then
Where did you receive the message on a PC?
no, I have
And it came on there upside down.
it came upside down, and I don't know. Oh, she sent it from, she said from her iPhone.
It's again, it has to do with that, but it came correct when you imported it into iPhoto.
Yes, that is true.
I actually had a friend, a person I used to teach skiing with, she's back in Vail, and she did her Facebook posting the other day with first snow of the season, and her and this other guy that I know really well, they're both, and they said, she posted it, and she had to put a comment afterwards saying, you know, we worked for hours to try to get it. So we said, because Seth kept falling on top of me when we were doing this, and it was, she posted it direct to Facebook, and it was at 90 degrees. So, all right. So what I want to show you, the last thing I want to show you here in iPhoto regarding email is, this is mailing using iPhoto's email. But if we go up to iPhoto Preferences, in general, I can say email photos using Apple Mail. Okay? And that's what we've been working on. Forget Outlook. You never want it. You never want to use it. I only have it here when I have to convert clients. So stay away. Be scared. So now, when I go grab those same 3 photos, and I say share by email, you'll notice I get a little different screen. This is the first screen to tell me that's a lot of photos at actual size. See, it already selected medium, but actual size, oh, that's way too much. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go way too much because we'll have another spot to fix it. So you'll notice I didn't do any stationery here or anything. I've done this. Do I want to include the titles, the description, the location information, which is the GPS? I'm going to say compose message. It's preparing those photos for email. I'm not touching my computer, and automatically it opens up Apple Mail. And here are my photos. And that message is 24.5 megabytes. But I can go medium or small. And there's my photos. Again, I'm pushing it either out through iPhoto's mail or out through Apple Mail. Okay? And you'll notice they're here, and I can do whatever I want to it. It's a regular mail. So I'm going to quit that. I'm going to go back to iPhoto again and show you how to change that back. There's advantages to both. But remember, in email, you can always go to your photo browser and bring them in. You can pull it from iPhoto. So I like to keep mine as email photos using iPhoto because you saw all the choices I had. Now, this all came up because of, on our iPads, you only have the option of sending it via iPhoto's email in the iPad. And someone asked earlier, how do you do multiple photos on an iPad? There's really no way right now. Here were the photos that came of the Juno one with the little, let's move this up, let's, loading, 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 loading. Boy. Okay. gets kind of bad when it's taking that long. It was a joke for a while, but now we're really messing with it. All right, I'm going to move this up. And there are the photos. But you'll notice down here, pictures zip. That's all the pictures that are in one zip file. So it would download all 8 pictures full size. Okay? Now, you get emailed pictures all the time. See right here? Watch what happens when I click and hold on that. There's the picture zip, right? There's one of the JPEGs, but what's that saying? Add to iPhoto directly from mail. Okay, that's click and hold. Add to. These came from my iPhoto, so I'm sorry, I'm not going to add them to my iPhoto again. But that's how somebody sends you an email with 3 photos attached to it. You click and hold on the save button and say add to iPhoto. Because if you save these, it's just going to save it as a file on your computer. Who cares? You're going to use them in iPhoto, so save it to iPhoto. Al, you had a question.
No, I just wondered if you have to
It was part of the process because it was so big. For some reason, it decided to zip it. So his question was, why is it zipped? It did it because it makes it, first of all, it compresses it so it'll travel over the internet better. It gives you a better chance of having the person receive it. So, yes, back to that.
The 2 attachments that it says up there, I get those all the time with anything anybody sends like this. And when you click on it, isn't it supposed to open something?
Not always. Like, for instance, I have at the bottom of mine, this is an image on my signature. That would be considered an attachment. A lot of times you get people with business attachment things at the bottom and you won't get it. Sometimes you get some real weird ones called MIME or DAT.files. That's from Outlook and they're a bag of hurt.
Or something like an invoice. You can see the invoice on the mail message, but you want the bill itself.
Click, okay, that's a PDF or a JPEG. If you see it in the middle, just double click on it and it'll fire up in preview. So the question was, if you see, rather than do the attachments up there, if you see something in the middle of it and it's just in there like an invoice, double click on that and it will fire up preview to view it because preview uses the photos and PDFs. Ma'am, you had a question?
Yes. What if you only want to print the 6th picture, not all of them? So you can
Well, the problem here is if you were going to print this, it's going to print the whole thing. But what you would do in that case is you download the photos and then just go to iPhoto and print the ones you want. Or library, yeah. Yeah, and then in iPhoto you go to last import and they're going to be there. But now are you going to print those on your photo printer with the expensive ink or the... Well, don't do that because you'll sit there and mull over it for years. And yes, because they're in last import, so you can delete them from right there and they're gone. Okay. Before the break here, I want to show you something. I emailed myself earlier because I wanted to feel important. I was afraid I wouldn't have an email to show you guys, so. I sent myself an email about the party of the century. It's the party of the century. We don't want to miss it, right? So I look at that and I go, oh, cool, party of the century. Now, watch what happens when I move my cursor over that. See this little thing comes like that. It could be a date without a time, or it could be just a date. This is using what's called a data detector, not to be confused with date, data detector. And with that data detector, I'm able to click on that, and it shows me, in the older versions, in Lion and in previous, it'll say, do you want to add it to iCal or view event in iCal? Now it's called calendar. But what this does is it shows me automatically in here, It fills in all the information from the data detector, and I say add to calendar. I can change this. In fact, I don't want to say MacNexus. Remember, that was I titled the mail MacNexus for here, but we'll call it party. Okay? Add to calendar. So, I've added it to my iCal. And it was what, December something? There it is, December 12th. Good, I didn't have anything scheduled. Party of the century, yeah, 9 o'clock on a Wednesday. Yep, that's when you usually make good parties, about 2 weeks before Christmas. So, I'm going to click on this, double click on this, and I'm going to hit edit. And I can set reminders and everything else we'll learn in iCal, but I'm not here to show you that. I'm here to show you show in mail. So that party might have had the top secret password when you come up to the door, open sesame, something like that in there, or a gate code for the place that in the gated community that the party is. So if I click on show in mail, it takes me back to the mail that the event started from. That's huge. Okay? So only because I used the mail itself to create the event will it round trip back to the mail. Okay? So again, hover over data detector. It shows you what it is. Obviously, it's doing it twice here. If I just click off of this, it doesn't add it. Okay? Now, actually, an iPad, it'll take that, well, good question. So I'm going to go to Mail in my iPad, and here's our photos. Where's the MacNexus one? Here it is. Now, it doesn't do it here. If I'd done just a date, the date would be underlined as a hyperlink, and I could click on the date. But because it's in, oh, I didn't do that. I didn't touch it. Look what happens when I press this. Create event, show in calendar, or just copy that date. Okay? So party will be on here twice now. I don't think it round trips to the mail, though. This is an interesting test. So if I go to the calendar on the iPad and go to December 12th, party should be in here at least once. Edit. Oh yeah, see there's a message link right here. If it's going to let me. No, it's not going to let me do that. It's only on the Mac that it does that round trip back to it. Sorry, it doesn't do it on the PC over there either. Okay? But the idea is it makes it really easy to put events in if somebody emails them to you. But the last thing before the break is there's another data detector down here. See, I hover over, it becomes a data detector. I hate entering stuff in my address book. If I click this, I can create a new contact or add this to an existing contact.
And how can it divide up the address so it's the street and the...
Her question is, how can it do it? I don't care. It does it. It does it. It's because it's in a data format, it's pretty used to that. It actually does it because of the spacing and stuff. It'll do it perfectly. Huh? She doubts me. I will make a new contact because I have mine in here, and I'll put Ken X. Okay? Create. And you saw there I had a screen where I could have edited it, all right? One sec. In fact, I should ask your question, and I'll hide the screen so I can fix this if it doesn't show up right. Ken X, and if you look at that, it is formatted perfectly, except this screen. Yep, everything's where it belongs. Any other doubters? Do you believe? Do you believe? Hang on one sec. I want to go ahead and delete. I want to delete Ken X because it should be Ken Triple X. What's that?
What about the email address? Why did it not put that in?
Can't tell you. No, actually, because there's another way to do that. And since we're in mail, that's a very good point. So if I go up here and I go to message, add sender to contacts, we'll put it in as the email. The problem was the way my email address here is below the website. If I'd had it right up there, it would have taken it and filled it in from that. But because these are already hyperlinks and it was a flaw in that. Actually, let's go with the one lady that had all the bouncing fancy things. So let's see. Yeah, see, hers doesn't have. Hers is no. The email that had the bouncing. God. Usually I catch my own ones like that. But. All right. So that's it for mail. We're going to come back and do a little bit of mail, but we're going to do Safari after the fact, and then we are going to have Ken's Gems at the end too. So feel free to come up and ask me any questions if you'd like. My bladder's holding out okay, so we need a number thing. Oh, got to stop recording. Don't forget to remind me to start the recording afterwards, please.